How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at a couple of bits of news from Indiana Jones to Dragon Age. We're looking at Xenoblade, and of course, we're looking at one of my favorite games, Anthem, because we do have a bit of news for Anthem, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. But, let's switch over to the actual news because I think it's really important we get stuck in straight away. And we do have this Windows Central Gaming. In our exclusive interview with Machine Games, we learned that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is targeting 60 FPS on both Xbox Series X and S alongside other juicy details. But I think this is the big takeaway for this, the fact that Indiana Jones now is going to be 60 FPS on both. The biggest problem that Xbox had with their first-party games for the longest time was the fact that they weren't releasing these games at 60 FPS, whether it was Redfall, Starfield, Hellblade. All of these games came out at 30 FPS, with a 60 FPS patch coming, 6 months to a year later. I have no doubts that Hellblade 2 will probably get a 60 FPS patch. But Indiana Jones, done by id Software, is going to be 60 FPS. Obviously, the engines do matter when it comes to this. Unreal Engine 5 is a lot more difficult to get at 60 FPS as it is with the software that the engine is using. But it's really cool to see that Indiana Jones is going to hit that level off the bat, and it's not going to need anything. Maybe later on they'll probably optimize it a little bit more, but the fact that it's coming out the gates at 60 FPS on both the X and the S is great. And it just shows that finally someone at Microsoft is listening when their consumers turn around and tell them that we want 60 FPS. And now that they've hit this, I hope this becomes a staple that they stick to. With Unreal Engine 5, I can get it. I can, show some leniency there because that is such a poor optimized platform in terms of engines. But for other games that aren't on there, they absolutely should be hitting 60 FPS without any problem whatsoever. I don't care if the game doesn't run at 4K native or 2K native. Just give me the option of 60 FPS. If you want to give a quality mode, do it. But provide me with the option for, a 60 FPS option. Now, Dragon Age has been accused of review tampering. Whether this is true or not is unknown. But over here you can see Skooma, who has highlighted a bunch of reviews, all using the same kind of terms. Return to form, return to form, return to form, return to form, return to form. And it's all kind of in the same vein, and they, it doesn't surprise me that Dragon Age would, BioWare would do this, or the PR company that they hired would be, telling these studios that we need a positive review, otherwise you don't get a code. And if you decide to lie about it, you're gonna not get a code in the future. That sort of thing doesn't surprise me. I've seen it before personally, and I've refused the code outright. I'm not going to name names, but it's happened before, so I know it does happen, and I know it does take place. And, at the end of the day, I turned that code down because I didn't feel like it was within my best interest to lie to my consumers. But if there is review tampering here, that is really, really bad. That is really bad. On top of that, I'm hearing that, if you are going into this and saying that you identify as a certain gender, they are instantly giving you review codes, and I think again that is really, really bad. Now, someone I know has actually shown me that they said this, and they have a really small channel and have got the review code, so I know it's happening. Whereas bigger channels who have wanted the code, have been critical about the game, have been refused the review code. So it's a bit crazy, and it makes me wonder why they would do this. I know a lot hinges on this. I know a lot of jobs also hinge on this, so they are worried. But if BioWare is totally aware of what is happening, shame on BioWare. This should not be happening in today's day and age. The FTC literally passed a ruling recently, saying that this sort of thing is not legal. And yet, despite that ruling by the FTC, which in all honesty is going to be impossible to prove, I don't understand why they even bothered with it. But if they could find a way to prove it, I think this is a primary candidate for the FTC to actually go at it and start questioning all of these review companies as to the validity and legitimacy of these reviews. In fact, IGN, from their review, from what someone told me, said that they gave it a 9 due to being inclusive and having a same-sex quest in there. Those two are highlighted in their summary as to why they gave it a 9 out of 10. And that's pathetic. You're not judging the game for what it is, you're judging it on political aspirations. And a game shouldn't be judged on politics, but the game itself. So at this point, I have to question the validity of the Dragon Age Veilguard reviews. And it does look like there has been review tampering, which is a shame, because even if the game is good now, the fact that this is going around is going to damage the game's reputation, and those that were on the fence probably aren't going to, make that leap of faith and give it a try, and they only have themselves to blame. Xenoblade Chronicles, the definitive edition, is coming to the Nintendo Switch at the end of the Switch's lifespan, 20th March 2025, the game is landing, which means, the Switch is probably going to land after that, probably in the new year. So, May, June, July maybe, but it looks like the Switch is looking to close off their whole thing really, really strongly, the tenure, and maybe this will allow them to finally leapfrog the PS2 total sales. But Xenoblade Chronicles was the only one that wasn't released on the Switch. They had Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. X was, restrained over to the Wii U. And now that this is actually being ported over, it's actually, it's insane. And I think this is like a difference between the two. You can see like there's a crazy difference between the two. It's not just a straight port. They've clearly done work to just make it look better. The character models look better, facial animations look better, the colors are more vibrant. It just overall looks like it's going to be a better experience. And for those that haven't actually played it yet, this is a great opportunity for you to dive in, because if I'm not mistaken, Chronicles X is actually a prequel. So, and this is all related to Xenogears and Saga as well, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. Finally, Anthem. Now, if you don't know Ben Irving, he was one of the, the developers, the leaders for Anthem when he was at BioWare at EA, and well, he left BioWare after Anthem project fell apart, and it did have its problems. But he did say on the 22nd, I'd love to reboot Anthem one day, and I said it was one of my favorite games. I would love to see a reboot of this game, being something we have been hoping for as a community for a long time. And during the time when Anthem 2.0 was being pitched over to BioWare and EA at the time, it didn't really work out because they could only work on 2 games, Mass Effect and Dragon Age, and Anthem was there. The shareholders decided that Anthem wasn't worth their time, and so Anthem 2.0 was scrapped. That is pretty much how it worked out. It's unfortunate, but I love the fact that he says, it's amazing how many people are still so enthusiastic about Anthem so many years later. Anthem still has all the potential in the world. And I really hope that BioWare or EA will sell the IP. If he wants to reboot it, I am more than happy for that to happen. I would love to see an Anthem reboot, one that's actually, where the care is given and everything is actually working out the gate, and it isn't the mess it was when it launched. They put a lot of effort into it, a lot of work, and in my opinion, Anthem was just a far superior game as a live service than Destiny and anything. It just appealed to me in more ways than one. The world of Ida, the flying in Anthem was just great. The build crafting was awesome. It was just a very, very good game that just was marred by technical faults and the fact that it just, as a live service, it didn't have content. There was only so many strongholds that you could do it over and over again without there being any content. And though the game ended on a cliffhanger, it never really developed any further. And there was so much potential for it. So I'm really hoping that wherever this actually goes, and if it does become a thing, Anthem 2.0 will one day revive, and if it does, I will be there day one to play it and cover it like I did previously. For those of you that don't know, this was one of the first games I ever covered on my YouTube career over at my other channel, and I would love to return to this game as a content creator again if they ever decide to reboot it. I will be there day one. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, do consider leaving a like, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. I am hoping to get 8,000 subs by the end of the year, so hopefully we can make that. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget, on Thursday we'll be covering Alien Isolation on the Halloween stream, and on Friday we will be having our first YouTube members stream. You can be a member on any tier, and you can take part. We will be playing a mixture of Call of Duty multiplayer, zombies, and Fall Guys. So hopefully you'll have time to turn up for that, and we can have a good time. Right, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.